Hello and welcome back to the Money Mindset Mastery Podcast. We're your hosts, Jim, Eric, Denis, and of course myself. I'm going to be taking the lead today. We're a group of passionate financial advisors dedicated to unlocking everybody's full potential, not just wealth, but life also. So today we're going to explore how peak performance principles can apply not just in sport, but also in money, business, and life. I'm really excited. That's why I'm taking the lead on this. I love talking about this, talking about coaching. So we have a special episode that really bridges the worlds of elite athletic performance and financial mastery. So our guest today is Adam Holt. He's an ex-professional athlete who successfully transitioned from his high-performance mindset of the world of business, tech, and entrepreneurship. During his athletic career, Adam also had the opportunity to work alongside some of the top minds, both in sport and business. He's carried those insights into his world of major organizations like Pepsi versus Coke, Real Madrid, Universal Music Group. So beyond that, he's a global speaker, shared his expertise in topics like digital media, marketing, and performance. His passion sits on the intersection of entrepreneurship, venture capital, sports performance, and emerging technologies like AI and machine learning. And of course, one of the more important, impactful roles of his life is that he's a partner and dad, which I am too. Adam, welcome to the show. It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan, and the rest of the crew as well. Looking forward to looking at.
Yeah, so we've talked over the last little bit. It's been pretty exciting because when it comes to the coaching world, it's one of the things that I dive a lot into with our clients, diving into the high performance of how we can help and how you've been able to help business organizations and people really master their performance. And for us, the mastery of money mindset and helping people achieve their goals. So part of what we want to dive into is really about the reality of high performance. Talk us through a little bit of your journey from athlete to performance coach.
Good question. Yeah, my athletic world started at a really young age. I mean, I think most people who play sport start young. Parents get them involved or whatever it may be. So, growing up in the UK, that for me looked like rugby, looked like cricket. And ironically, I actually started playing ice hockey as like a 5-year-old in the UK, which is a very rare thing. Ironically, I end up living in Canada now, which I always joke to my dad, if I was born here, I think I might have been playing in a 3-letter league, hopefully the NHL. But that went by me and eventually ended up in the world of golf. And to me, the athletics was an escape for me to get away from. I mean, at the time, it was schoolwork that I thought was just like, this is awful, can't be bothered with this. But over the years now, as I've kind of grown up and had kids of my own, I see sports and athletics as a real pathway to learn things that you might not necessarily learn in the classroom, whether that is the ability to work as a team, the ability to put the hard work in when you don't want to. If it's cold outside, it's dark outside, but you've got practice to go to. The mindset of being able to just get up and go and do that is something that stands you in good stead, whatever you end up doing later in life. And the biggest one for me, and even now in my world as an owner of businesses and an operator of businesses, I always kind of not necessarily gravitate towards them, but end up finding myself working with or hiring athletes of some sort, just purely down to the mindset. They know what it's like to get beaten, or they know what it's like to lose. They know what it's like to then get up off the ground and actually then go and compete and perform. So from my perspective, I think that athlete mindset, that high performance mindset, it's kind of come from a very young age. But then I also do think there's a little bit of the nature side of it as well. Some people just don't necessarily have it, and it's a lot harder for them to get there. But I think the principles and the things that you can learn along the way, I think everyone can start to adopt them and bring them into their day to day life to try and get the most out of what we do from a life perspective. My high performance journey started super young. That innate competitiveness, I hate to lose it. Everything. My wife tells me off all the time for playing games with my kids, even though they're 6 and 3, and I refuse to lose. But again, it is just what it is, and that's just how I am as a person.
It absolutely builds resilience with kids when you don't give them a chance to win right away. They have to build that up. And I totally agree when it comes to that. So one of the things that comes up often when it comes to performance, I think everybody here is some sort of athlete. Eric, backcountry, lots of mountain climbing. Jim, you've done hockey, Denis, golf off and on, perhaps cricket in the back end. I don't know. It's
Hiking as well.
hopscotch, hiking, and he works out. Janine works out like every day. So, but one of the big things a lot of people don't understand it. And when I posted preparing for this, I got a lot of great comments, people through LinkedIn and Facebook, just talking about the pressures that people feel versus talent versus preparation. What do you see as a big difference between the two?
There's so many cliches, isn't there, in the world of sport to life? I mean, hard work beats talent when talent forgets to work is one that I got told at a really young age. And I think people have a misconception. I think that talent gets people so far, but you look at it in any sport, you look at good examples here at hockey, like your Conor McDavid's, your Sidney Crosby's of the world. You look at tennis, the Roger Federer's, the Nadal's. You look at golf, Tiger Woods. Not only are they super, super talented, and they would be pretty good without really trying hard, they're also the hardest working people that are around as well. So I think talent ultimately, and again, this is true in the world of business as well, talent will get you in the door. But I think the hard work combined with the talent is what keeps you inside the room again, maybe whether that's playing sport, whether that's in business as a salesperson, whatever it may be. The hard work then kicks in to keep you there and keep you elevated and keep you moving up the ladder. You have to ultimately have both. And I would always favor a small bit of talent with an extra hard worker versus ultra talented but no working at all, because that sort of person then just becomes negative, especially in a team environment, because they just kind of bring everybody else down. So I think you do need both combined together to really hit the upper echelons of real elite performance. But like I said, the work ethic and working smart as well. I'm not necessarily working for no reason, but working on the right things. I think that gets people a hell of a long way towards where they want to get to in life or sport or business venture, whatever it may be. So when I'm kind of working with people, talking to people, looking to hire people, whatever it may be, or if they ask me my opinion, I would always kind of lean towards that one. And like I said, for me, the big one is talent might get you in the door or get you a start, but it's the hard work once you get there that keeps you there ultimately and keeps you moving up and up the ladders versus kind of stagnating and tailing off. And I think we see that all the time, don't we? People who they might look great at a younger age or starting out in their career and they kind of stagnate. And then people are like, oh, what happened to that person? And it's just ultimately, I think if you went and looked in the mirror, they probably didn't work that hard and kind of let the talent go to waste almost a little bit. So that to me is a combination of the two. And again, it's how you can time those two. And that's where it comes around getting good coaches around you ultimately. Again, I mean, I think I'm pretty good at a lot of what I do, but I still have coaches myself and in most of the areas of my life because I want somebody who whether it can keep me accountable or ultimately just hold the mirror up in front of you, just so you get a really good look at yourself. And then from there, it's like, okay, let's reevaluate. Let's move on, do more of the stuff that's working. And yeah, thanks for showing me the stuff that's not working. Let's tweak that now and let's kind of move ourselves to the next step there at that point.
I know when I coach too, and I coached both hockey and soccer throughout the years, teenagers, fun group to coach as well. But there are times where I would have the most talented player who had a poor attitude or just wasn't really putting the effort, and I would sit that player because I always preferred having the athletes that put the effort in, that work really, really hard, because as a team, they always came together. And I know the parents always challenged me on, why are you sitting the best player on the team? We need to win this game. And for me, it was more the long game, right? Because I knew the impact that it had on the rest of the team. You had that individual who was just had a poor attitude. And it's the same in business. You can have a very talented business person as part of your team, but if their attitude is poor, it affects the rest of the teammates. So for sure, I agree with you that talent is important. It kind of gets you there, but I think it's that working hard, the effort, the attitude, that's what really pushes you over the top.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the big things whenever I'm looking at things like, it's probably one of the least talked about traits of people, but like humility, like not being too big for anything. It's kind of one of the big things. One of my early bosses, who was the CEO of a tech startup, I mean, she'd raised tens of millions of dollars and had a really nice office in New York City. But I used to see her at nighttime. She'd be the one who was taking the trash out. And I'm like, in my head at the time, I didn't really think anything of it. But afterwards, I'm just like, yeah, no job's really too big. And like that stuck to me with that. And again, like she became someone that I looked up to and learned a lot from. And even to this day now, I've had several people I've worked with and been around. She's still probably one of the most influential or kind of shaped a lot of what I kind of look at today from like a business perspective and how you treat people. And again, that for me is a really underused word, I think, when you look at not only in the business world, but also life in general and obviously sport as well.
So you stole basically an answer to all the questions that I had for the first part of this, because when it comes to
Short podcast today then.
We're
Yeah.
done.
because I think it's important for us to talk about the elite performers and how they surround themselves with great mentors, great teammates, people that really support and cheer them on, whether it's parents, colleagues, and I will continue to say mentors. I look at Eric, Jim, and Denis as mentoring me, of always being open to be pushing myself to the next level. Is there anything that you see as something that people misunderstand? Even though it's business versus financial, is there any common myths that you see that people misunderstand when trying to perform at an elite level?
You mentioned there like people who cheer you on and things like that. I also think you need people around you who just tell it you straight and give it you honestly. But the way that that person delivers that news, again, it's on the receiver and also the person who's giving the message. But you got to understand that if you've got the trust of someone, you've got them in your team and they're backing you. If someone's telling you that, they're not telling you that to upset you or to try and wind you up or whatever it may be. It's really like the constructive benefit. So for me, it's surrounding yourself with people that have your interest or your kind of development as kind of the core focus of what they do. And again, they're not just there to make money off the back of you or wherever it may be. And then it's being open to receiving the message for the reason the message is being given to you. And again, when I was younger, there's people would say stuff to me and I'm just like, turn my back up and be like, screw you. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, again, you at that stage of your life, you might just not want to hear those things, even though it's the right thing you want to hear. So I think that's where it's building those relationships with the people that you do have as your mentors, that you can have them honest conversations with them and understand that it's not a personal attack at you. It's a constructive kind of view of how you should go about things. And I think to this day and age now with social media and clickbait and things like that, it might have gone a bit too extreme in terms of how people get told what they should and shouldn't be doing and kind of how the messages are delivered. And that's where I think really good coaches do a really good job because they know what buttons to press, when to press it, and what to say and how to say it. So again, you've got to be able to find the right people that can deliver the messages in a way that resonate with you. Because again, at the end of the day, there's no good getting all angry and upset and spitting your dummy out the pram. I'll use a baby phrase. You've got a baby at the house. It's like, it just doesn't work because then no one's getting anywhere. You're going to fall out. You're not going to be threatened. Everyone's losing at that stage. You got to understand that if you're committed to somebody as a coach, as a mentor, and you're sure they've got your back for the right reasons, listen to them, take it on board, wait a day before you respond to something, because 9.8 times out of 10, by the next day, you're like, okay, I understand why you said that. Versus in the moment, you might just be like, I want to tell you to bugger off and we're not working together ever again. So that's where I think as I've gotten older, I've done a lot better job at kind of sitting there, breathing and understand why the message was given the way it was. And then, okay, sure. And if I still don't agree, you have a conversation about it versus getting all antsy and not happy.
Yeah, it speaks to the importance of building the right group around you to make sure that they're truly supporting you and the goals that you have and not putting you down.
Every Danielson needs a Mr. Miyagi. Like-
That's true.
Right?
Yes. Thank you, Daniel-san.
The cat Icarus has arrived to the podcast.
Yes. Yes. Many times we're either talking about Yoda and Luke Skywalker on these. I am Luke Skywalker. Jim is my Yoda right now. So,
Yeah.
But how do you help clients identify the difference between kind of the busy work that's happening and truly intentional training? Because again, sports performance is one of the big keys of your businesses. And again, whether it's sport or finance, how do you help people to identify those things?
Yeah, I think it's really understanding the key pillars of performance, depending on what we're talking about. So if it's the business world, if it's the sport world, wherever it may be, it's understanding the fundamentals that got the person to wherever they are when I first start talking to them. Because ultimately, there's some level of talent or ability to get them to the point where they are today. I'm not working with net new beginners. Uh, so they've done something right to get to where they are, and it's being able to identify the lowest hanging fruit that continue to kind of improve on those good things. And then also balancing the time and the effort that goes into then improving on the weaknesses ultimately. There's all different cliches in there for coaching around make your good things excellent and just improve a little bit on your bad stuff. There's vice versa where your good's good enough, make your bad stuff better, and then you can balance it out. I think it's so individual, and each individual person reacts differently to different stimulus. That for me, ultimately, it's such a personalized approach when you are trying to improve it. There is no 100% blanket kind of approach. I think that's why there's so many different coaching styles. I mean, you look at any sport, any activity in life, there's 100 different ways from getting to point A to point B or point A to point C. It's ultimately finding the coaches, finding the right people who can get you there in the way that you respond to or you react to the best way. It's like if you go to the gym, I mean, you see two people start the gym at the same time, and one person loses 20 pounds in a month, whereas the other person loses 5 pounds in a month. They're doing the exact same thing, eating the same things, but the body just reacts differently to the stimulus. I think it's no different in terms of that when it comes to coaching for everything. Some people slower to get started and they'll speed up. Some people go fast, they slow down. So that's where I think as coaches and as mentors and helping people and individuals kind of get to where they want to get to, that's where we've got to consistently have various different ways of saying the same message. Because you say it one way, people might just go straight over the head. You say it another way, and they get it straight away. And that's ultimately where I think it's the coach and the coaching style is critical to be consistently evolving and growing and understanding the person who's sat in front of you ultimately. So that way you can kind of coach and get the best out of them.
Yeah. I saw on your website a philosophy that you have. The best performance happens just outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
And this speaks true to every athlete, every business owner of taking themselves to the next level is really being able to operate outside your own comfort zone. I have many clients going through the coaching sessions that say in the first 3 or 4 months, there's some very uncomfortable conversations that are happening and things that they don't realize.
Yeah, it's not trademarked, so it's not mine. So,
All right.
someone else said it. I'd be a rich man if it probably was trademarked. No, again, I think my background in kind of like the human performance side of things. So then there's a lot of studying with like human physiology, a lot of study of psychology, etc. And I think everything that we look at in terms of just development of all those different areas, you have to stress and put the human structure under stress beyond what it's usually known or what kind of has previously done to be able to then have an adaptation and have a change. So I think that stays true in just all walks of life ultimately. And I do tons of reading, whether it's books about the military, books about kind of the neuroplasticity, things like that nature. Like I'm just interested in everything and then kind of bring it into my own way I like to look at things and live my life. And you look at everyone, like no one really knows how far they can push themselves to reality. And again, we're all living pretty much in comfort zone and kind of, oh, it's the way it's always been done is one of my biggest pet peeves in life in general. If someone tells me that, I like to rip up the playbook and go do it again. So for me, it's always about pushing individuals to unlock what they might not have thought was like doable for them. Again, it could be coaching one of my sales reps who've only ever been 102% of quota. And it's like, well, why have you not got to 105? Why have you not got to 110? And it's working backwards from what they think are the hurdles and then helping them understand that, okay, like if you break this down now, it's not necessarily a big issue. It's multiple little things that compound that then get you to that next level. And that's where I think it's not throwing someone in the deep end and saying, you're trying to save $1,000 a month and you're living paycheck to paycheck. You don't just say, okay, you're stripping back no more Starbucks, no this, no this, none of that kind of full on kind of extreme stuff. But it's like, okay, what small wins can we do every single day or every single time we do something? How can we win that moment to then make that change where it compounds over time for a big change? And that's where I spend so much time looking at what today looks like, looking at where we want to go to, and really spend a lot of time kind of doing the gap analysis between the two. And then most of the time, people find that that gap from where they are today to where they want to get to, whatever it may be, is really not that big a leap to what they thought it was. It's just a couple of little small tweaks that you can start to implement on a day to day or week to week basis, wherever it may be. Over the course of doing that and sticking to the process, you ultimately get to where you want to get to. So that for me is kind of how I start everything I do myself. Like if I want to, I don't know, I love watches. If I want to buy a new watch, it's like, okay, how much is it? Where I am today? Like, what do I have to do to get there? Okay. Like I put a plan together and I go and do it.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately how it is for me. It's all about that kind of the understanding of what the delta is between where you are today, where you want to get to, making that as simple as possible and as easy to digest as possible. So it doesn't look that scary ultimately at the end of the day then.
Yeah.
Almost sounds like financial planning.
yeah.
It's just life planning, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, I don't think I hate dumbing down of what we all do, but like none of it's 100% rocket science. It's just really, it's going back to the basics, isn't it? I mean, you hear it all the time in sport. You hear it all the time in life. Just do the basics really, really well, and you end up in not that bad a spot. And then you sprinkle on top of that some expert insights, coaches, extras on top of it. And that's then when you get winning teams or successful individuals because they had that little bit extra on top of doing the basics really, really well.
But that's what people forget, right? Is going down to the basics because I'll tie that into investing. And Denis, you're a portfolio manager, but I know when we look at what's being advertised and marketed and pushed in front of us, it's all very fancy and there's all these terms and people can get overwhelmed by it. But the way you make money is you buy low, you sell high. That's it, right? You just bring it down to that basic level. That's how you make money. You strip everything else out that all the online, you know, robo platforms are doing, whatever else. It's buy low, sell high. And it's the same thing with athletics, right? And even with coaching, like, do you think coaching has evolved or changed? Because I know with me growing up and having coaches, it was very much a here's the coaching style, and you use the same coaching style for the 20 players on the team. And sometimes that worked well with an X amount of players on the team and maybe not so well with others. But it seems to me that coaching, not just in athletics, but I think in life as well, has evolved to the point where now it's the coaches are adapting to the athletes that they have. So they might use a coaching style with three players over here, but then they might use a different coaching style with another three or four players just because of their personalities.
Yeah. And I think it's getting even more increasingly challenging and and you have to adapt more and more now as well with just the way society is evolving as well. Kids today, they've got access to information at such a younger age now. Again, you could say something to a kid and they'll go and chat GPT and they'll come back to you with an argument of why based on chat GPT. And it's just like in the past, like when I was growing up as a kid, you wouldn't ever really question the coach. You'd just be like, okay, no problem, go do that. And then you might ask your mum and dad afterwards, like, what about, like, what do you think? Like, but the instant access to information now, and also people's demand for instant success and instant gratification is really changing the goalpost of how you have to coach. And that's why I look at things like in terms of where I am today, where we need to get to, what does that gap look like? That's where I try and get people to have as many wins as possible, regardless of how big they are, because I found that the ability to stick to something, people's willingness to not see success quick and maybe have a little blip that doesn't quite go the way they want it to go, turns them off straight away. So I think that's where the coaching style really has to adapt, that people can see, okay, they see point A to, they see where they are today, where they want to get to, but then they have to see they have to actually experience the small wins along the way, not just have that end goal in sight and continue to work towards it blindly. Because in this day and age, people switch off, they'll find a new coach online, they'll see some influencer who's saying do this and that, and they'll come and question you about it. So That's where I think you have to constantly build in those small wins along the way to really kind of keep people on course and on track to get to where they want to get to ultimately.
Ryan, you can speak to that too on the as a cash flow coach, right? 'Cause that's
Yeah,
exactly what you talk about with people is those little wins.
a lot of it is like really what we've talked about is pushing people into a bit of a uncomfortable zone. And when we talked about getting back to basics too, what I've realized too is some people don't have that, don't understand what the basics are. And that's where you're kind of building them up and making those small wins, as we kind of talked about, and really pushing people's limits as to whether it's their limits within training of sports or making really tough financial decisions. So, that's why behavioral coaching really matters for a lot of people. And, a great team, great coaches can really help push people and support people through that kind of challenging pace, whether it's, again, sport or finance. And it's really about building a habit that sets a new mindset for people. The Money Mindset Mastery podcast, right? And even when it's tough, right?
I've got an interesting question. I'll put one on. I mean, I'm the guest, but I'll put a question to you guys now. Do you think the lack of people using actual cash money these days to buy things is changing like the future generations? I don't want to say the word appreciation, but respect and understanding of what money actually is. So I remember as a kid,
Absolutely, 100%.
I remember as a kid, like having my money going on a Friday and buying like the polystyrene airplanes that you used to make and throw, and like I'd save up all week for it. Uh, Whereas now it's just like you get your phone, you tap it, and they walk away. They've got no. I feel like people don't have. I feel like that physical connection to money is just gone or is going, is changing a generation.
I agree, and I think Jim was saying the same thing. And it's part of the coaching piece is having that physical evidence of seeing that time and effort and hard work that goes into saving up for a goal, and that ease is what's going to be kind of battle as far as the world of finance, the world of social media, the world of attention along the way. And it's one of the things that we kind of focus on within the coaching is trying to take a step back to the 1900s, back in the day, is to see visually for a lot of clients. And many clients, range from, I've had as young as a 8-year-old come on as part of the coaching with their family to an 80-year-old when it comes to coaching. But everything comes back to handing it over in exchange, that all that time and effort you put into it is now being exchanged. And people appreciate the things that they earn.
We talk to our clients about there once upon a time, to your point, Adam, on a Friday, you get your paycheck, you take $100 cash, you put in your pocket, and that was your smokes for the week and, your food truck, coffee or whatever, and maybe if you had a little bit left over to enjoy on a Thursday or Friday night with your buddies, and if you ran out before the next paycheck, you're done, right? You're stuck at home for the week. And now, like, I've got my Apple Watch. I don't carry cash anymore, right? Everywhere I go, I just use Apple Pay and tap, 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 right? And that makes it difficult to kind of keep track of finances because it is definitely a tap society, right?
And
Yeah.
that speaks to our education system talks strictly about budgeting, but nobody ever talks about cash flow, right? Understanding what money's coming in versus what money is going out. And a budget is great for a short-term goal, but when it comes to the overall picture as to people actually understanding their finances and being successful, those who don't understand their cash flow are the ones that are in significant debt. And it puts a lot of pressure on people. And that kind of leads into some of the things that I want to talk about: performance under pressure. As an athlete, are there any things that you do or that you walk through with with your clients to help overcome the pressures of performance?
I mean, I enjoy it, to be honest. I kind of crave it and chase those opportunities and those moments. I'm probably a bit weird in that sense. But for me, it comes down again to like preparation kind of leads to kind of confidence in your ability. So I remember when I was kind of starting out in my post athletic life in the business world, like I'd spend hours prepping for meetings or presentations or whatever it may be. And I have that down to like 5 minutes now because I've just done it so many times and kind of I know what I need to know at this point to be able to be successful. And I also know that your plan's going to go wrong and you're going to get a question that you could never ever prepare for. So you've got to be willing and ready to kind of pivot and go off piece. So that's where, for me, from the pressure perspective, it's do the work you need to do ahead of time. And then once the pressure does come or you are under pressure, embrace it and enjoy it, because I think LeBron James talks about it being a privilege ultimately to have that sort of position, because it means ultimately that you're trying to do something that you care deeply for and you don't want to mess up and you want to win. But that's a privilege. Like, enjoy it, embrace it, and go and do it. I mean, like I said, I've got young kids. They were just on stage a couple of weeks ago for dance recitals in front of a few thousand people. It's like they don't feel pressure because they're 6 years old and 3 years old, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, let's just go and do it. It's almost having that childlike mindset again of, this is fun, this is cool, this is something that's, again, an opportunity I might never get again. And that's where I think pressure is, you earn the right to have that. And I think you just got to embrace it and wrap your arms around it. And again, some people look at block breathing techniques or visualization ahead of time or whatever it may be. And that's where it's so individual for that individual people, that you have to find ultimately what works for you. And like I said, over the course of several years, I kind of figured that out. And that's where I think my athletic background and playing professional, playing elite amateur, then playing professionally, I kind of had that built in and ingrained anyway, moving out of that into the business world, that it just kind of stuck with me at that point. And I learned very quickly that, okay, this works, this doesn't work, scrap what doesn't work, keep doing what does work. Oh, this does work now. So before I knew it, I built kind of my own DNA of being able to handle the pressure at that point in time. But yeah, for me, I just enjoy it. I absolutely love it.
Denis, how can you tie that into investing, right? Because we know a lot of people right now who are putting their money into the indexes, and we've had a pretty good ride, but they haven't really stress tested what that would mean when the correction will happen, right? But to Adam's point on the athletic side, if you're prepared, you can deal with certain pressures, and it's not as big of an issue, right?
I think it's a little bit, first of all, having the people around you with that experience. And I've known some people that have lost money, bad investment, or whatever the case may be, and that are reluctant to come back because they have lost that money. So it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of getting ready and explaining, and really getting ready for what's coming next. I've been telling a lot of my clients that, we've had strong markets for the last 3, 4 years. It can't continue. We will have a correction at some point, or at least much lower returns than we're getting now. So it's really preparing them, educating them, and, getting them ready. That way they could just go through it without an issue, especially for the ones that don't need the money right now. And we invest according to whether they need the money now or, 10 years from now. And it's a matter of getting people ready, and managing expectations. We had The expectations are always high in the last 3, 4 years, especially the people that just started. You put something in, it goes up automatically. An index will go up automatically, and that's why some of these discount brokerages are doing so well, because that's what they really put it in. But after, at some point, that's not going to happen. And just like they thought SpaceX was going to go up from the time it started trading till next year. Well, some of them are experiencing a little reality. So you got to match that reality with a little bit, with their initial thoughts on what their expectations are.
One of the ways that we can help a client prepare for those pressure situations is, first of all, a roadmap. Here's the plan, right? So we'll call it a financial plan or a retirement plan. But Adam, on the athletic side, there usually is a plan that's laid out by coaches and trainers, and to kind of get them to a certain point and maybe stress test certain situations, right? So I think that's an area from a financial side that we help our clients is, let's actually document it. Let's plan out the strategy, right? And the other way that we prepare them, Denis, is, if a client is 100% in equities and we know they're a few years away from retiring, we may turn around and say, you know what, you might want to kind of readjust your asset allocation, So that way you can protect yourself when there is that correction, right?
Y-
So
Yeah.
that's really where the preparation comes. And by having the coaches, right? By actually listening to coaches. And that's where I think there are some DIY investors that do really, really well. And just like they're athletics or athletes who are self motivated and they know what they're doing, right? But I think that's a very rare breed. I think most people can use, a coach, someone who give them direction. And I think that's really where, from a financial planning side of things, where we come in, meaning Denis, Eric, Ryan, and myself, right? Is we're kind of like the coaching team for a lot of our clients.
I think some people think it's do it once and you're done and you don't have to come back. You don't have to review. This is not a one and done industry. And when you're planning for your future, it's never one and done.
Yeah, I did one set of weights one time and I thought I was going to be strong forever. That didn't last long.
Didn't get you very far, Jim.
It did not, no.
No, all I was going to say is like, you've all, like, again, like you guys being in the industry, you've got so much historical data as well to be able to show to clients that, hey, yeah, this is what it looks like. It might look like this today, but over the course of the lifespan of everything, it's actually, this is what it looks like. And that, I think that having that data, that context, and kind of the understanding of the big picture longevity gives comfort to a lot of people, doesn't it?
That, and I think experience,
Yeah.
right? Just like athletes, if you're a rookie might have a lot of energy and raw talent and whatever else, but they don't have experience. And that's why it does take them a few years to get to the point. Once they develop that experience, they're at a different level. Like, Crosby, I think, is a better player today than he was when he first entered the league. Right. You could probably say the same thing with a lot of athletes, is they've definitely gotten better over the years because of that experience that they've developed. Or
Yep.
teams in the NHL who just can't get over that hump. Carolina Hurricanes this year, right? They've knocked on the door, knocked on the door, knocked on the door, and it just took that experience to finally teach them what they had to do to get to the next level and ultimately win the Stanley Cup.
You
Right.
needed a former Pittsburgh Penguin as the captain to make sure it happened. Anyway, that's a
Right.
side comment. But yeah, one of the things that through LinkedIn and stuff, a lot of comments were all revolving around this performance and the stress that happens and the burnout that happens. One of the people commented back about how do we find balance when it comes to one, preparation, is having the right systems in place to make sure that you can perform at your level, that you're taking that time to recover. So secondary is that recovery. Third, knowing your awareness and what are your triggers when it comes to performance and the pressure that drives poor decision making. You know, poor decision making in the financial world. Do I just sell everything off, or do I look to the fourth one that I said, which was a team? Do you look to a great team that is able to help you with sports nutrition, your mentality, your physical, your strength, all the decisions that come along with the financial environment that often people are trying to figure out. And again, we alluded to, people want to take shortcuts along the way, whether it's using certain apps or potentially trying to use some sort of quick serve social media to get into the best shape and lose the best weight. But in the end, it's just a quick fix that often never results in anything, and you haven't created the right behaviors or mindset to make sure that you continue that performance over years. So, which I think one of the things that I've seen many people, when it comes to success, it's consistency. For yourself, Adam, you know, what does that speak to somebody when it comes to their sustainability? Where do you see it as far as creating those systems or discipline? How do you see them as an end result when consistency is one of those big things?
Yeah, no, it's consistency is huge, isn't it? But you got to consistently doing the right things, though, is the big one. That's where that comes back to, again, having the coaches around you to give you the kind of the framework to work within, and also be there to tell you when you kind of deviate off path a little bit, because we all do. Like, you might think you're doing the right thing, but say, hey, Adam, like, you're neglecting this or you're neglecting that, whatever it may be. And I mean, I look at life in general almost like the old volume control on a speaker where you turn it up and turn it down. Like, there's times when you got to be doing more of one thing and less of the other thing. And it's how you balance that out over the course of a year, multiple years, a lifetime, that ultimately get the best out of you in terms of performance and kind of like the best end outcome that you want. And that's where, again, I'm sure there's some people out there who can do all that and manage all that themselves. I'd love to meet them because they're superhuman, but that's where a lot of us have coaches in different areas of our life to make sure that we've got that area dialed up to the right level. And again, like you were speaking that before, Denny and Jim, it's like, yeah, someone might be in indexes, but let's say they're, or actually, then let's say they want to retire in 5 years. Yeah, probably not the best thing to be in and run the risk. So it's like, that's where you can dial down that and you dial up something else to get them to where they want to get to. And yeah, like you said, I mean, some people can, I say, cowboy it. Some people can kind of figure the way out and make it work. And there's always going to be that anomaly of a success story. But I think most of the people who make it to the very top level and sustain there and stay there for a long period of time have several coaches and several people around them. I mean, well, I think, is it LeBron James? He spends like $1 million a year of his own money for like a chef, his own personal physiotherapist, his trainers and everything. It's like,
I think
that's an
Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo does that
I think a
as
few of
well.
them do at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
like, that's their, I mean, Ronaldo he makes 3.6 million a week. So it's just a drop in the ocean for him. But that's their investment into, themselves, isn't it? And I'm
Yeah.
sure they're doing the exact same thing in multiple other areas of their life, the finances, everything else. And that just speaks volumes, doesn't it, ultimately? If they're willing to spend that sort of money, when I'm sure people would throw themselves at them to do it for free for them, but they're willing to spend it on the right people, that speaks volumes to me in terms of finding the right coach to get you to where you want to get to.
So would you say that is maybe one of the most underrated systems or habits that somebody may have to drive long-term success, which is investing in themselves?
100% in my opinion. I think people, I don't know why you wouldn't invest in yourself. I happily, I say this to my kids now. It's like, yeah, we're not just going to buy toys all the time, but books and things of that nature that can help them kind of learn key skills and grow. It's like I would prioritize doing that for somebody over a lot of other things if I had only a couple dollars left to spend, in my opinion, personally.
Any good books you're reading with your kids right now to help them develop that?
We've got a bunch of stuff. I mean, they just pick their own. The one we're actually trying to teach the kids. So my wife speaks Arabic, so we're actually trying to teach them Arabic at the moment. So they're doing a lot of Arabic reading right now. Being again,
Yeah.
kids' brains are like sponges.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big ones that we're trying to work with right now is actually the language books. Again, just the idea that they can be exposed to that and understand kind of what that is. That's one of the big things we're doing a lot of focus on now. And we've got them at home for the next few months because it's summer holidays. So it's a lot
Yes.
of opportunities.
It is amazing how quickly the school year went by. And now we as parents are looking at ways to elevate our kids to make sure that we don't have to entertain them all. I would keep joking with Walker that he's going to have an 80s summer to make sure that he can be curious and be creative in the boredom. Do you leverage technology in any way with your kids or with your sports, many sports businesses out there?
I mean, yeah, it's woven into a lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis on my business and kind of that side of things. With the kids, we do ultimately try and limit it to what it is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the perfect dad and my kids never go on the iPad and stuff and watching on TV because of course they do. But my wife and I, we've even noticed it like days when they might get an extra 10, 15 minutes on it, you see the difference in the behavior. But the really cool thing I've noticed recently is, especially my oldest daughter, is like, if she's feeling stressed or kind of just worked up or can't explain her emotions, like she'll go outside in our back garden on her swing and she'll just swing for 10, 15 minutes in fresh air. And that is just a pure reset. And being able to see that for me is just like, it's quite joyful to see that. Cause it's like, okay, like there you go, you're outdoors, you're in the fresh air, you're just like on the grass and everything. So even she's 6 years old is realizing the benefit of something like that. So for us, we're always trying to encourage that. She's trying to take them out to the golf course, trying to just get them outside as much as we can do. Again, just to be kids. I remember summer holidays with me, and we joke all the time. It's like we used to go out on our bike. My mom used to like come home for dinner time, and no one knew what that was, but we ended up coming home at dinner time. So it's just one is what it is. It's just like you'd end up at someone's house and they'd call your mum and they'd say, okay, he's on his way home. It's like, okay, no problems. And that, that life's gone now, which I, part of me is sad because I think it felt more simple than it is today. I feel like kids are growing up too quick.
So
Your daughter going out on a swing like that and resetting, that's my equivalent of sitting on the chair smoking a cigar with a shot of whiskey. That's my reset.
I would have thought going out on a motorcycle was yours, but
That's another reset.
yeah. So,
there's multiple things that I do to reset.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's a different outlet. So, Adam, what advice would you give someone struggling to stay consistent with their performance, especially when it comes to financial goals, besides working with TVH Financial,
Yeah, obviously.
which is the number one answer?
Yeah, the number one answer is call you guys.
Yeah.
No, again, I think, and I mean, not me personally, but people I've spoken to, and I know I've introduced a few people to you guys as well. It's not being embarrassed to ask for help and like understanding that no situation's really as bad as what we think it is. So I think that for me is the big one, is like put your pride and ego to one side and go talk to somebody and be honest about it. And whether it's a stepping stone approach of, okay, might not necessarily just call up TVH from day one, but I'm going to talk to a friend and see like, hey, do you work with anyone like on the finances? And like, yeah, actually I do. And it's like, before you know it, you start to kind of get comfortable that you get to that position. 'Cause I just find it's still a very taboo topic, isn't it? Almost, to talk about finances and like what everyone's position is. And again, if you were to jump on a call and you four pop up, it might be quite intimidating to some people to sit there and talk through it. So I think for me, it's like understanding that it's okay to kind of talk about it. It's okay to get on a call. And again, just explore what better could look like ultimately.
And don't worry, everybody, you only get one or two out of us at a time normally.
So I think, Adam, we should talk about Swing Lab, your company, and what are the services that you offer through Swing Lab, why someone should come and visit you at Swing Lab or one of your people there as well. So maybe share a little bit about Swing Lab.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're a golf performance therapy business based in the Richmond Hill GTA area. Been going since 2018 officially. My business partner and I, she's a athletic therapist by trade, probably one of the best. I actually started out as a client and then ended up becoming a business partner and kind of being part of what we do today. But yeah, we cover everything from athletic therapy, massage therapy, chiropractic work, biomechanic assessment, where we use a ton of AI, well, data and AI and visual tracking, all the way through now to, we've got a 7,000 square feet performance facility now that's centered around golf and golf performance. We've rolled in club fitting, we've got a big putting green indoors. It's probably one of its kind in Canada. So we've built very much a best in class, one of a kind location here in the GTA. And yeah, that the one facility, we've been in there just over a year now since we expanded, gone really well. Starting to look now at other alternative locations, kind of West End, other parts of Canada. And then obviously kind of what expansion looks like beyond that point. So yeah, really, I walked away from the game for a long time, actually, to be honest. I kind of got myself burnt out. And anyone who's played at a high level probably know what it's like when your dreams get crushed and you don't make what you think you're going to do. Walked away for a long time, but it's really neat now for me to be back working in an industry that I grew up with, a passion that I love. And turning it into a business now that, yeah, which I love. My kids love going there and hanging out. They work at the front desk and welcome people. So it's one of those kind of nice businesses that, again, the family's somewhat involved. So it's really cool.
We actually use golf as an analogy when we try to explain to people how we help individuals, right? And typically the analogy that we use is, if I were to send you, Adam, and you would know this, to play in the Masters, and I was going to give you one of two things. You can either have the best clubs of any player that's ever played the game of golf, or the ability of any player that's ever played the game of golf. Which would you choose out of the two?
The ability.
Absolutely. That's what everyone says, right?
Yep.
Now, and the reason why is because you need to learn how to connect with that ball. You need to understand the swing. You need to understand how to connect with it, where to direct the ball, all those things, right? Now, eventually you're going to need clubs to do those. But when we talk to people and when they go work at, with a banker, for example, or they go with one of these online robo platforms, what they focus on is the clubs, right? It's all about, here's our investment, here's our best mortgage, here's our best deposit account. They are pushing the club, but no one ever talks to them about how to actually hit that ball, right? So at TVH, what we prefer to do is kind of like with somewhat Swing Lab. You're not really into coaching, right, with the people, but you are looking at technique and whatever else and doing the assessment there. That's what we like to do first. Is let's first look at the assessment. How do things look? Do we need to make some adjustments? Let's make sure that you can connect with that ball, and then we're going to match you up with the right clubs. And then there's that whole fitting side of things too, right? Like you have to fit the right club to the size of the player and all those things. But in our industry, they're always pushing the club. This is what you need to be focusing on, and no one knows how to play with it, right? How to play with those clubs. So
Can't hit
that's
a
the analogy
moving
we use.
can't hit a moving target is what we always say a lot. So unless you know
Right.
what the issue is, however do you try and fix it or improve?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, I agree.
Yeah. And Adam, I really appreciate, thank you very much for spending the time with us. We're just about helping people empower them in their financial journey. I think this is the challenge for a lot of people. If you want to level up your performance this year, your health, wealth, or mindset, start by stepping outside of your comfort zone this week. It starts by reaching out to Adam if you're looking for sports, reaching out to us on the financial side. We focus a lot on the financial wellness. And yeah, the highest performers don't avoid pressure, they train for it. So, Jim, I know you're the best person to talk about where can people reach us?
Well, first, where can people reach you? Let's start off with that.
Swinglabtheory.com is the website. SwingLabTO is the Instagram for the business. And then, yeah, my email would be adam@swinglabtheory.com if anyone wants to reach out to me with any questions, golf related, life related. I'm pretty good at responding to emails, so I would generally always respond to people.
Good. Yeah, and with us, it's all the social media platforms. We've got the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. It's all out there. And then obviously you can visit our main website, which is tvhgroup.ca. And that's where you'll find the different pillars as well, meaning mortgages, legal, accounting, and financial. If you want to go directly to financial, it's tvhfinancial.ca. You can also reach us by emailing us financial@tvhgroup.ca. And I think that's really it. We're going to be sending this out as a YouTube recording as well, so it will be available on YouTube. There will be the podcast version of it. There will be the blog post. We encourage you to sign up for our newsletter so you'll be updated and informed when the next episode is going to be upcoming.
Thanks for letting me lead the way on this one. So,
yep. Well, awesome. Thanks everyone, and have a good evening. Take care.